not only upright, but also awareness of space, spaciousness. Meaning, you see, usually we rush around quite a bit and we have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of discussions happening with people on the outside, you could say, but also, if you've noticed, discussions within our mind, in our head, you might say. No, it's not exactly in the head, but it feels like it's there. So that often leads to a sense of, you might say, traffic jam, internal traffic jam. If we live in big cities, then of course we're used to the external jam, but there's also some kind of inner jam sometimes happening. So here, with the posture, we can learn to relax in the posture and have that sense of slowing down, paying attention, but also not stressing, not having to fill the space with anything whatsoever. So a sense of basic, excuse me. We might even call it a kind of a sense of basic sanity. If insanity or neurosis is a kind of unsubdued restlessness, where we keep on fidgeting physically as well as mentally, then sanity is a sense of allowing oneself to slow down and be still and aware. So the awareness is there, the awake quality is there, but without any sense of rush, without tension. You see, there's no sense of competition with oneself or others, which is a great thing. A lot of our day sometimes can be spent in that sort of competitive spirit, where for one reason or other we have to, or we feel we have to outdo others in some way, or at least equal them, and constantly comparing ourselves with other people, and that is not at all useful. And we'll see why a bit later in the session, why that, it'll become obvious why that is detrimental. So just relax, keep breathing, and let there be a sense of letting go with the out breath. That's important. A kind of a shh, when you breathe out after quite a heavy, carrying something heavy or being in a slightly stressful situation, and then there's relaxation. So at the end of that, there's a natural breathing out, I get that now every time my bladder is full, I rush to the toilet and then, that kind of breathing out and the relief of letting go. So we can feel that way, because our problem is, and I think one doesn't want to make too many sociological statements here, since this is not sociology class, but I would hazard a guess that since the Industrial Revolution in England at the end of the 18th century, of course it picked up tremendously in the early 19th century. Since that time, a lot of people have had to, whether they liked it or not, invest a lot in being speedy, in getting things done, in working in a kind of an automatic fashion, which also required things to be done by a particular time, and all sorts of other little inconveniences occurred, whereby the natural, listen very carefully please, the natural kind of flow of the human being in harmony with nature was completely disturbed. So that even now you will find, if you're daring enough, you will find, if you go to certain rural areas, and mainly mean India. In England, you might not find it so easily, but in India, you can still find rural areas where you go, and it's quite disconcerting for an urban dwelling person to find out how little, how, what shall I say, how people are just not in a hurry. Many people, just don't seem to be in enough of a hurry. They just don't also have so much to do, really. There might be one local shop, the town is a little far away, maybe one little local shop, maybe not in their particular tola or part of the village. They can spend time working hard in the fields, yes, but they also have periods of relaxation. I'm talking about normal situation. Of course, there are very difficult situations where people have to work extra hard because it's almost like bonded labor. So I'm not trying to idealize or romanticize Indian village life, because for certain people it can be hellish. But in general, you might find with a relatively okay or prosperous family that has some cattle, has some land, they can be kind of relaxed. The elders of the family, more the elders. The youngsters, of course, will have, most of them, their gadgets, right? So their lives will have already speeded up. But the older generation, you might find them very, very irritating because they're just slower. They're not in a hurry. You might ask them something and they, it's like they won't be in a big hurry to answer or interrupt you before you finish your sentence. I would challenge some of you to check very carefully, and I'm not joking here, check very carefully how many times in a day, this is when you're with other people, obviously, how many times you interrupt somebody before they have finished their sentence. And ask yourself, what does that show? What does that show about oneself, the way one is going about one's life, one's communication, We could have a little check, non-judgmental, we're not trying to put ourselves down. We're just seeing what's happening, So my point is, here we have a chance for 1 hour to just be a little bit more sane. Because looked at in terms of Shantideva's great text, he might argue, if we were to discuss with him in modern terms, he might say that, what I'm suggesting in my text is the greatest sanity there could be, where you are dedicating your life in many ways to, to the happiness of others. Because you see this extraordinary attitude, it has to be based on some kind of firm foundation, don't you think? It doesn't just happen, this kind of amazing attitude that you're living a crazy life where you are so busy and you're not allowing other people to complete their sentences, etc., etc. And then you expect to be able to develop Bodhichitta? It's a joke. I think that's a joke. If we're in such a hurry, if we are so stressed out, that we can't slow down and pay attention to ourselves and to others, then the thought of developing natural, sort of compassion, love, bodhicitta, it's not happening. It's like, the roof is not happening without the walls and the foundation, right? It's so obvious, but I think we miss some very basic things in our very sophisticated, artificial, self-forgetful and imitative culture, to borrow some words from Aurobindo that I like reciting, which he said was the problem with our country, even as early as the early 19th century. Sorry, early 20th century. he was saying this. It's already started. More than 100 years ago, this had started. Self-forgetful, imitative, artificial. Matlab, we forget our wisdom culture, which enjoins us to be calm, clear, kind, wise, especially the wisdom. You know, it enjoined us to be in harmony with nature, to have attitude of contentment, santushti. So therefore, that precluded any kind of rape of planet Earth and extracting more than our fair share, more than the Earth can bear, and so forth. And so when we developed that unusual lifestyle, which we began to copy from the West, which had begun to become arrogant, you might say because of this increased power due to machinery and the Industrial Revolution and all of that, then we also began to be totally self-forgetful, imitative of the West, and then, or let's say modernity, let's not blame the West in that sense for everything, and then it leads to artificiality, meaning artificial needs. Again, we can check in our life how many of the things in our room, in our house, the things we buy are absolutely essential for health and survival. And yeah, we might be a little shocked. I would be shocked. A lot of what I buy in Delhi is artificial and not necessary. It's the result of having built up habits of consumption. So anyway, if we're to really generate what Shantideva would love us to generate, this loving heart of Bodhichitta, then we have to make friends with ourselves properly, which means slowing down, paying attention, having a genuine sense of trust in oneself, in one's own being, and in life, you might say. So I don't want to sound cliched, but meaning being at friend, in a friendly relationship with ourselves and our environment, immediate environment, larger environment. The kind of attitude where you don't feel you have any kind of enemy or real problem. Everything is workable. And many things are extremely friendly in that sense. Again, you can experiment. Days when you feel very vulnerable and slightly irritated, fearful, angry. So what kind of experiences do you have on that day? While you're still in your room and when you go out of your room, what kind of experiences do you have in the so-called real world? What happens on those days? And what happens on days when you are feeling very somehow balanced, friendly, not trying to protect yourself, open to other people and animals even? What happens on those days? This is something we can all check. This is not rocket science. This is basic. There's a wonderful paragraph in a book that I bought for my host here, for Elaine. She, her husband are kindly putting me up. This is a book called Mindfulness in Action. And in this chapter, which is called The Bridge of Compassion, Chogyam Trungpa is talking about how we translate these attitudes of love and compassion into daily life. And at one point, he's talking about something which we, I'm sure, have all gone through at some point, although we may not acknowledge it. We may not even be aware of it, but it's there for most of us, and for some of us, very prominent, at least at certain times in our life. And that factor is fear. And so listen to what he says very carefully. Fear comes from panic and the bewilderment of uncertainty which is related to lack of trust in oneself. You feel inadequate to deal with the mysterious situations that constantly seem to be threatening you. But if you have a compassionate relationship with yourself, then you trust yourself and you know what you're doing, at least fundamentally. Your projections, which are just a mirror reflection of yourself, become methodical or predictable, so you know how to relate to a situation and also how to leave it alone. Then there's no more fear. There's a distinction between emotional compassion and direct compassion. Ultimately, you don't have to feel compassion, you just be compassion. If you're open to situations, compassion just happens. Because, why? Because you're not wrapped up in self-indulgency at that point. You don't have to maintain compassion, but you just acknowledge it. And this is the kind of ultimate mentality of richness. It's nothing to do with wealth, financial wealth. Acknowledging that the bridge of compassion is always there and available. You don't have to do any more than that. Okay, so again, this doesn't just come about through reading and listening, to nice passages in books. So how do we bring about that sense of richness and natural compassion? So, well, there's no other way than the practice of meditation. We can't think ourselves to that point or even do ourselves in the sense of working hard at it. Physically, we have to create this connection with ourselves, and that is done through meditation. So here meditation is taking a good seat, generating an attitude of openness and warmth. Even though it may be fake in the beginning, we have to fake things. It's okay. It's kind of make pretend in the beginning. But there's a sense of being very definite, upright, and open and relaxed at the same time. So get a sense of the posture, upright, open. It's good to generate a sense that oneself is not alone in this world. We're surrounded by beings who we have a connection with, some more direct, some more indirect, but definitely, according to the Mahayana teachings, we have a connection at some point with everybody. And we depend on so many beings for our very life. Briefly recall that, so that the meditation doesn't become very kind of self-enclosed and somehow complacent and self-satisfied, kind of self-centered. There's the sense of participation in the life of the world. So what one's doing definitely has an effect on the atmosphere and on other people. And of course, leads us to more and more engage in the kind of wholesome, skillful actions in the future that benefit others. However much we might feel we are not able to do that right now. So we'll sit quietly for a little while, maintaining calm, clear, kind attitude towards oneself, and which you can feel is also extending to the environment. There's a kind of radiation of this calm and clarity and kindness, which one is not holding on to like some kind of miser holding on to their possession. We're allowing it to be there as part of the atmosphere as well. So kind of what one teacher has called environmental generosity. Let there be a soft smile which comes from relaxation on your face. It could be a kind of smile to oneself where you're saying, okay, you know, life has all these ups and downs, but it's, you know, it's okay. It's workable. There's a sense that, you know, I've seen all this kind of, and I know it comes and goes, and a lot depends on my attitude to it. So there's a sense of, you know, I'm not going to torture myself with stressing out just because something is challenging. So there's a kind of a smile, one understands. Kind of a wisdom there, kind of a wise attitude that we could even adopt when we are, which we can feel when we are very, very young, you know, very young, pre-teenage. I'm sure there are children who look with a kind of smile at the knots and tangles that their parents and others get into. You know? Anyway, so that kind of smile, when we're not laughing at the world, but we have a gentle, humorous attitude, which has nothing to do with cracking jokes, but it's just a sense of softness. A bit like the Mona Lisa, although her smile is a little enigmatic, but anyway, you get the idea. So this requires a certain softness in the muscles of the face, not holding rigidly on to some kind of jaw like that commander in the Avatar movie, the baddie commander, remember? Who wants to wipe out the indigenous tribe, the Nabi or whatever they're called, and more softness like you see in the face of the faces of the tribal people in that movie, whether part one or part two. Or you might have bothered to look recently at the face of a child who is in a state of kind of calm or play or happiness. That kind of relaxation in the face. Or when you are listening to your favorite music or whatever, there's that softness. So relate to that. Allow any tension to flow out of you as you breathe out. And connect with the breath. Breath is not an end in itself, obviously, but it's a means to, skillful method to slow down, pay attention, and perhaps go a little bit, well, again, words are confusing, but a little bit deeper into who we are, stillness that we might find. However, initially there will be a lot of lack of stillness. So when the thoughts come, the tsunami of thought comes, that's fine. One is still smiling inwardly. You recognize, let it go, come back to the breath. Recognition, let go, gently, back to the breath. And we're not pouncing on the breath like a tiger pouncing on his prey. We're just being lightly with the breath. We're not trying to trap or possess the breath. It's not ours anyway. It just is. So just be with the breath. Let it go out. Whoosh, it's going out with the breath. And you can even feel a gap at the end of the out breath before you breathe in again. And now, as part of the practice, we can link it with one of the four immeasurable thoughts. Think, and when I say think, it's kind of an attitude, not just a thought, but a kind of a feeling thought, kind of aspirational feeling, but of course conceptual. So it's like how wonderful it would be if, I'm feeling this slight sense of maybe ease or relaxation now, sense of calm. How wonderful it would be if all beings could have this kind of happiness and the causes of happiness, freedom from fear, freedom from tension and speediness, freedom from that, freedom from the causes of sorrow, the causes of burnout, causes of aggression. How wonderful that would be. Really feel that. Remembering some people in your life, you know, who are suffering from these things, speediness and burnout, and, you know, just feeling, yeah, fed up and irritated and angry with life, and, you know, or people, how wonderful it would be if they were free of that. And if also oneself was free of that, generate this thought stroke feeling aspiration from the depths of our hearts. How wonderful it would be. It would really, it would kind of transform things, really. One would notice things one hadn't noticed before. Things that make us feel sad, but also very beautiful things. Things which enrich our understanding of what it means, you know, to be a human being, not just some kind of crazy robot rushing through the stages of the day. So let there be a sense of that, a sense of softness, of wishing the world and people well, letting go of the grudge one might be holding, out of a sense of love for oneself. It's not about sacrificing for others. That can come later in a deeper way. But the essential thing is initially create this atmosphere of kindness that oneself can enjoy, so that it becomes authentic when we share it with others, not something forced, brittle, requiring constant appreciation, for example, from others. It's just there, naturally, like sunlight. See, in verse 136, we can maintain our meditative posture and mood, you could say. You don't need to grab your text. This is a shorter session anyway, so we're not going to analyze much today. Verse 136 of this chapter, Shantideva says, to free myself from harm and others from their sufferings, let me give myself to others, loving them as I now love myself. So you see, we needn't take this in a negative sense that he's saying, oh, now I love myself, that's bad, 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 you know. I think it can be taken in a very positive sense that, you know, first we do have to feel very positive and loving towards oneself. So do we feel that way? Many of us don't. And meditation can help us develop a sense of poise, relaxation, space, spaciousness. Lack of spaciousness or speed and so forth, clutter being one of the main enemies of trusting and loving oneself. There we just feel flustered and oppressed, you could say, pressured. We can't feel this natural openness when we are pressured, when we feel pressured. Of course, it depends. I've known a particular Tibetan Lama whom I never, ever saw pressured. Whatever was going on, this person always so calm, like a rock. But of course, not a unfeeling rock, but just so calm. Incredibly dignified bearing. You know? We can also be like that. I'll read a passage, then we can reflect on it for a while, and then there won't be much time left, but we could have a little discussion. The practice of meditation is about trusting yourself. It's not about getting some high, you know, or high peak experience. No, it's about trusting ourselves. As the practice becomes a more prominent feature of our daily life, we not only learn to trust ourselves, but you might begin to actually love yourself. You might actually begin to love yourself. And love here means to wish yourself to be happy, you see. Not talking of some kind of, you know, romantic love towards oneself, but or some kind of narcissism where you like looking at yourself in the mirror. We're saying it's about just feeling good about yourself, wanting oneself to be happy. It doesn't mean you can't look at yourself in the mirror and feel that's good. We're not saying that. But to feel, oh, wonderful, if I could be well and happy, see, free from sorrow and pain, you know, really feel that. So anyway, you might begin to actually love yourself or to have a compassionate attitude towards yourself. As much basic space as you discover in your practice, there is that much warmth in the space as well. Just give you an example. I'm kind of cleaning up, having a redecoration process going on at home in Delhi. And it's just amazing because there's that sense of space, of the marvelous potential of the incredible, you know, place I've been left by my uncle. And when you clean up and get rid of some of the junk, there's this sense of space. And it's really rather wonderful. You know, one can then appreciate a lot of the things that my uncle did leave, because there's more space to appreciate them. They're not hidden in the, what one might say, the non-essential kind of junk. There's some very beautiful things there. And one can appreciate some of the furniture more because there's more space to appreciate it in. So this kind of attitude works on many levels. So as much basic space as you discover in your practice, there's that much warmth in the space as well. So you feel good about the space. It makes you feel good. And remember, we keep on talking about basic goodness, which is basic because it's our fundamental nature. So when we create space, we create an avenue for that basic goodness to kind of leak out, you know, in a good way, to manifest. Otherwise, it can't manifest. There's too much garbage going on, too much stress, too much speed, neurosis. There's a delightful feeling of positive things happening in you constantly. Your meditation is no longer mechanical or a drag, but it may be a delightful thing to do. Meditation is making friends with yourself. Let's reflect on this for a little while. Otherwise, from your own experience, going deeper than the words into the meaning. Otherwise, it could just be nice words, which would be a shame. You might want to think, oh, what is there? Some inner, outer clutter that I can begin to divest of in my life that would create some more space and some more warmth. Natural warmth, nothing that we have to import, from the USA or Germany. It's just there, waiting. It's like a little shoot, like a little flower that you take some weeds or other things out of the way, and there it is. You're giving it space. Then it might only be a little flower, like a meadow flower, and you feel so happy. You feel, wow. It doesn't have to be big deal. It doesn't have to be big show. So we could all be like William Wordsworth, dancing with the daffodils from his famous poem. But of course, all of this has a tinge of sadness. It has to be, because we're in this world with its woes and with impermanence. This is a very necessary ingredient to always remember. Zongsa Rinpoche was also asking us to remember this today in the teachings. And there's a very beautiful short poem by someone I'd never heard of, early 8th century Buddhist priest, Monsei, Japanese, I guess. He says, what to compare this world to? What to compare this world to? White waves in the wake of a boat rowing off into the dawn. What to compare this world to? White waves in the wake of a boat rowing off into the dawn. So of course, everything is like those white waves, our friends, our relations, our likes, our dislikes, our own body, which we think is so solid, but were we to analyze, it's quite a clutter there. Mind, mental factors. Rinpoche used the words crumbling. It's kind of disintegrating, crumbling all the time. We kind of hold on to it as something solid, and then we suffer. Everything is crumbling. So that's sad, but it's also quite liberating in a way, maybe. So if the logic here, in case you've missed it, very simple. Shantideva and all the rest, they seem to be saying that if we make friends with ourselves properly, then it's so much, then it becomes genuine and authentic way to make genuine friends with the world. Which doesn't mean abstract world, it means other people, animals, everything. One no longer feels aggressive towards anything, including the earth, the trees, whatever. One could never be a kind of investor who looks at trees and land as something to destroy, because they want to build something there. One wouldn't have that attitude. That aggression would not be there. It's a kind of aggression that wants to raise things to the ground with, thought of future profit. So we might want to, in our spare time, look at that verse 136 and its implications, and one could spend a lot of time simply working on that one. The implications of having a genuine loving connection with oneself. It could take years, you see, it could take a whole course of psychotherapy. But one thing Rinpoche said about psychotherapy today, which our future psychotherapists should bear in mind, is that, of course, we harbor a lot of hurt one way or another. And it seems to be coming from a long time ago and, affecting us over a whole range of time. But somehow, if we have this particular sort of open attitude and an ability to abide regularly in the here and now and with the breath, somehow that cancels the deleterious effects of thought and time. Thought and time. These are two things also Krishnamurti talks about a lot as being the cause of suffering. Being caught up in thought and time. So this is also worthy of your investigations. And will, I'm sure, enrich our, we need this kind of background to enrich our appreciation of Shantideva and what he's saying. Otherwise, it's easy to just approach his text as something very nice that would be nice to be able to engage in, but it's somehow far away. Maybe we can have a very short discussion, if you wish. Yeah.
You said something about the mind, you said trust your mind or trust yourself.
Trust oneself, yeah.
What do we do? I mean, what do we not trust ourselves about?
You tell me. We don't trust ourselves with anything, but I guess we don't analyze properly. We're always hesitating, aren't we? Should I, shouldn't I? Can I do this? There's many people, including myself, I've known when we have a lot of power and ability to do things, but we just don't think we can do it until we get really pushed. And then somehow we find out we can do it. And that shows that we're very hesitant about ourselves. And then we sort of keep on saying, oh, well, if I do this well, am I promoting myself? Am I over promoting myself? Am I being egotistical? What will others think? Blah, 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 whatever sort of stuff could come in our mind. So it's almost as though the sun feels ashamed for having so much light and having to check with the other planets and stars. Is it okay if I shine? Kind of thing. That kind of thing. Asking the moon, oh, do you mind if I rise today and shine on the earth? And the moon having to ask the sun, do you mind if I shine? Do you mind if I go into a full moon phase this month? And the sun kind of says, just relax, just do what you're good at, which is, becoming a full moon. So, yeah, we don't trust ourselves because often we haven't been encouraged to, and that leaves a very big, wound. But the wound can be healed when we stop thinking of it as a wound all the time and just feeling upset about it and poor me. That's often what comes up. Poor me, I had this experience. My parents died, blah, blah, my parents, blah, blah. And then next thing we know, we feel totally crippled and wounded. That's awful. Of course, if our parents, for example, are still doing that to us, then we just have to learn to be more resilient and tough. No other way. As well as being kind. And that's where I think the attitude of also, together with trust in oneself, having this attitude that other people are just because people may be older or our parents, they can be twice as neurotic as we are, They need help more than we do. Which is tricky because archetypally we expect parents to take care of us, right? They're supposed to be the ones who are wiser and kinder, blah, blah, blah. But then we find, well, actually they need help from me, whatever. So yeah, trust in oneself comes with relaxing also in the right way, not being lazy, but okay, why torture oneself? Relax, breathe out, see what happens when we relax with the out breath and spend time being calm, spend time doing what we like and not just what we think society wants us to do or what makes us the most money. When I go to the park in the morning near our house in Delhi and I see so few young people, I feel so sad. It's just more elderly people just trying to fight off the flab or whatever on the exercise machines. I don't see people just really enjoying nature. People are going around religiously, like a treadmill, the ones who are walking. So that seems sad to me, that people aren't just there enjoying nature, enjoying the place. Very sad. Don't you think? Anyone online want to say something? We're not going to go on much longer. There's special dinner today for me at Elaine and her husband's place. Since it is my birthday, I'm having special quiche. I'm having French quiche today. Is that right?
Yes.
Quiche. How about that, folks? Don't go green with envy. I'm having quiche and what else?
Mushrooms.
Mushroom? What?
Soup.
Mushroom soup, and for dessert? Ooh.
Hash browns.
Hash browns? Well, that sounds very American. I haven't had hash browns since San Francisco, 1979. Wow. I wonder if they're the same or different. And there might even be something at the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm not going to overindulge. And then I might have something unmentionable towards the end of the evening, which I won't mention. Then people won't come on Zoom again. But don't worry, I will not overdo it. So anything, folks? I hope it's kind of, this was a more gentle session, which is very important. Otherwise we just, charging into Shantideva as though we're ready. That's ridiculous. We're not ready for Shantideva. It says, Eliot says in one of his amazing 4 quartets, he says, wait without thought. You are not ready for thought. Wait without love. You are not ready for love. First understand what these things are, then talk about them, kind of thing. This is an extraordinary work, 4 quartets by T.S. Eliot, who may be better known for his Wasteland poem, 1922, but his 4 quartets are just extraordinary works. It's kind of amazing. Thank you, Ranjana. Thank you for your appreciation. Thank you. What's the occasion, Kabirji? Well, 1 year closer to death. That's the occasion, my friend. Yeah, I feel so happy to be closer to death. I'm going to drown my sorrows this evening after quiche. Oh, I'm kidding. What else?
Happy birthday, Kabirji.
Thank you, Sujitji. Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday, Kabirji.
Happy birthday, Kabirji, again.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Kabirji.
Happy birthday, Kabirji. Happy birthday.
Thank you,
Wish you
Divya.
loads and loads of happiness.
Loads and loads. Yes, tons of it. Yes.
Tons.
I'm going to start a factory. Happiness
And then give it to everyone. You are giving that.
but it'll cost you, you know. I'm not giving it away free. क्या सोचते हो? I may be a caste, but we are bunnies at heart. Yes.
Please have enough quiche for all of us.
Then I'd be a little sick, but I'll have a little. Hi Naveenji, where have you reached? An airport? Delhi airport. How was the Vistara flight? I heard they're a good airline. Please unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Oh yeah, I've just landed Kabirji in Delhi. Yes, Mr. Same flight you're taking. Yeah, good.
What was the flight like?
Well, I only remember getting in and falling asleep for a little while, then some khana, and then sort of, yeah.
Okay.
It was nice.
Naveen Bhai was with us in Pune for Zongsar Rinpoche's teachings, and I'll be taking the same flight tomorrow, so I need to know, you know, what to expect. I'm told Vistara is pretty good. Anyway, so good. So what else, folks? I hope we can all be very loving towards ourselves. Divya, you look happy. I'm so happy. You're looking happier than usual.
Yes, yes.
Is
I
that
healed
a-
myself. I healed myself.
Is that a red hair dye, or am I just imagining it?
No. That's a red background. Wall.
Your
And
hair
this is
looks
my
red.
poncho. This is my
Doesn't
red
her hair
poncho.
look red, Vishad Bhai? Her hair looks red, no?
Maybe the reflection.
Must be something like that. Something. And Nivita ji, how is Yeshe? Is Yeshe behaving?
Yes, she is okay. I think quite lonely because I'm in Gurgaon.
You're in Gurgaon. Okay, yeah, poor fellow. Anyway, good. Anushri, you're okay? Hello. Maybe she's gone to dinner. They have a really good dinner at Rishi Valley. She's gone for
You
dinner.
are in which place, Kabirji? Very nice background.
I'm in Pune.
Okay, very nice green, lot of greenery.
This is my
Very
host. Elaine and her husband are my host.
Hello.
And this is Elaine's painting, which she didn't want me to see, but it looks like I'm really in a Vienna, no? But it's her
Beautiful.
painting. Realistic, no?
I thought that's a green area or something. Beautiful.
But it's her painting. Yeah, very talented person. ठीक है. What else? One more, maybe a little more. We've got a few minutes. You need to go.
No, I'll go.
Yeah.
But you take your time.
Yeah, I have a while. The quiche will be warmed up or whatever it is. Yeah. What else, folks? I'm enjoying being taken care of without feeling guilty about it. How about that? Tea comes at 5 a.m. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Elaine brings in tea at 5 a.m. Although I think tomorrow morning she won't because it's kind of, she's had a hard time, busy time organizing, being one of the organizers for the teachings. So yeah, I don't think I'll expect anything at 5 a.m. But you see, yeah, it's some kind of good karma ripening, I guess, and I'm allowing it to happen without saying no. You know. Allowing oneself to be cherished also sometimes without getting, you know, too used to it or you know, puffed up about it. What else, folks? Anything?
Hello,
Anushri?
Kabirji.
Hello.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday.
Very kind of you. Very kind. Already dark in the south? Oh, it's dark.
No, I'm
here
outside.
It's dark here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
I'm outside. I'm coming back from my dinner.
Looks that way. Looks that way. Don't
Yeah.
hurry because we're finishing now. So having an early day so I can indulge in dinner. Yeah. But yeah, please take care of yourself. It's very important, you know. It's a cliche, but it's very important. We don't take care of ourselves. Or we take care of ourselves in the wrong way, I think, sometimes. Overindulging in certain things. But we need to, take care so we can take care of other people who really, some need to be taken care of more than we need to be taken care of. So we have to be in good shape for that, no? Yeah. Okay. So thank you all very, very much. And tomorrow evening, we have not decided yet what's happening. Even today, thanks to Navita, I remember there's a session today. I was worried about tomorrow. I knew tomorrow had to be worked on, but then I just totally forgot that it's Monday, and Monday is also a Zoom day. So then luckily, there wasn't too much traffic coming back from the teaching venue. And Elaine plied me with an excellent cup of tea and local biscuit. There's amazing local biscuits in Pune. I'll bring some back to Delhi. And so then that revived me a bit. And then your presence and everyone helped revive me, and I don't feel so tired now. So thank you very much. And yeah, hope to see some of you on Thursday. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I can't lead the session tomorrow because I'll be in an airplane or just landing or something. But we'll work something out, or we won't. But whatever it is, just be happy, you know. Maybe do some meditation if there's no session. Look at verse 136 and any other verses that you find useful in chapter 8 or wherever, and just reflect on it. That would be a very meaningful way to spend the time. I mean, you don't need me to always be leading a session. It's just an excuse, really, to have someone leading a session. But isn't it? People can do on their own. And I see Navita's left us. She didn't want, she thought maybe, again, poor dear would be roped in. Of course, anyone feels brave and want to lead the session, I'm quite open to people. Visha, do you want to lead tomorrow's session?
No, Kabirji, morning session and then whole day of work and then evening session will be too much.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing the morning session.
Sorry.
Very appreciate that. Yeah, no problem. Whatever. Anyway, there'll be a posting by midday as to what's happening. Okay. Otherwise, hope very much to see you all live and on Zoom on Thursday. Yeah. Okay. So look, thank you all very much, and take care, and see you all soon. Good
Happy
night.
birthday again, Kabirji.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.